Mr Speaker.
I call David Bennett.
Thank you, Mr Speaker, and just wanted to thank members of the House for their speeches tonight, which have been very exciting, I must admit, in regard to this bill, because especially the last speech, which was so exciting that the members now seeking to have another call. But this bill is, as members have said tonight, about providing security for New Zealand's supply of fuel. And everybody would want to see that happen because as a net fuel importer, New Zealanders are at the whim of the international market and especially the international supply in the market. So that member over there, the red jacket member of the Labour Party that is not dressed in his normal attire tonight, but I'm sure will come back once a year with his happy-go-lucky jacket, which we like to see, is into his 7th year of chanting now, and we look to him in 11 years of chanting as that member is known for in this House. But Mr Speaker, this is an important bill in the sense that oil supply is something that New Zealanders understand and want to guarantee. And this is an international convention, basically, where countries have come together and decided that with unity of supply by purchasers, they can regulate and control any action that sellers may have of this product trying to dictate supply on the market. And that is a very important approach to take, especially when you consider that most of the supply comes from regions of the world that are very delicately placed at the moment and have governments that are in some kind of trouble in one form or the other. When we look at the bill, effectively all it does is shift the cost of that ticketing process. So currently the ticketing, which is basically the ensuring that you have that supply held at some point, is now paid through the consolidated fund. So basically every tax dollar you pay, a portion of that goes to making sure that we have a base supply through this agreement. The change that this bill makes is to reflect that cost into the consumer through the cost of fuel. Rather than the central government paying through its central government fund, it would do it through the fuel cost on consumers. Now, there are a couple of points that we need to discuss in that area. One of them is just what the last member raised about the conjecture around the pricing between international fuel prices and also the domestic market, and also and there can be a variety of reasons for that. Although you may see some commodity products reduce in price, that doesn't necessarily reflect in that end value-added product that you get reducing to the same effect, because there are a lot of intermediary manufacturing processes, shipping processes and such like that do not change to the same degree, and that can influence the price differential. So there are a lot of factors in regard to the point that Mr Nash made that need to be taken into account, and you can see that in your milk price, which is another indication of a commodity that has had a reduction, but the value-added side of it doesn't necessarily have a reduction in cost. The other, well, that's the reality of someone that actually produces something in this country, not somebody that sits there and talks about how to transfer money around. Now, the Green Party came into this House and actually supported this bill, which is actually unique for them to actually support a government bill, and we thank them for that, and may that be a sign of many more things to come. I noticed they never mentioned peak oil. When we came into this House 10 years ago, every Green speech was about peak oil. You need to be worried about peak oil. The world supply of oil is going to stop. In fact, the world supply of oil was supposed to have stopped about now under the Green philosophy. Now we get the Green Party coming in and telling us what the future of world energy supply will look like. Well, they never got it right then. They will never get it right now, and we don't need that economic plan from the Green Party to come in front of us. The other side is that New Zealand First, and I wouldn't be smiling if I was New Zealand First, because they're the only party that's opposing this bill. And the neo-communist economic ideology of the New Zealand First Party is something that we need to take into account here. Yes, neo-communists, that's what you are, yes. And with the New Zealand First Party, they just don't know why they're opposing it. I think Fletcher Tabatu in his speech sort of talked about it and said, well, maybe it's because the government has to fund it, or maybe it's because the consumer has to fund it, or maybe there were some other reasons. What were those other reasons? Very eloquently put. Well, he didn't actually answer it, but I can tell you what he said. And he said that he wanted the consolidated fund of New Zealand, the government of New Zealand, to pay, not the consumer. That's what New Zealand First is saying in this case. They are the only party in this Parliament saying that. The Labour Party and the Green Party don't agree with New Zealand First in this case, and good on them, because they actually see the advantage in what we do in this. And there's a lot of reasons why New Zealand First will be taking that approach, and it's really just the shallowness of their economic thinking is probably the fundamental reason. But their attraction to opposition of anything is probably the other main reason, and they're just negativity and an inability to consider wider issues is probably the other part of the reason why New Zealand First is taking the approach it has. So, members of the Parliament, we have a bill in front of us today which essentially enables New Zealand to sustain its obligations under the international treaty. And the way that it does that, well, under this bill, is to actually pay for that through the consumer, through that excise levy, rather than through the government spending that money through its consolidated fund. Now that's something that, you know, members in this Parliament have considered and decided that it is in the best interests of New Zealanders going forward. And when we look at the global oil supply, it is changing. You know, there is, America is now self-sufficient, if not major producer and exporter of energy. The world price of energy has dropped markedly in the sense of that raw commodity product. The value-added product that we get is maybe somewhat different. And this international obligation that we are part of really has at the heart of it its focus on maintaining supply for crude oil. And so the last speaker from the Labour Party mentioned other types of oil-based products. And a lot of those are very value-added, specific products. And the international obligations are really aimed at countries trying to take advantage of the crude oil supply and to try and change that market rather than those more specific value-added products, which often aren't made in those countries of origin because they export the crude and then that is converted into the more value-added type energy products that you see. So that may be well an answer for the question that the opposition raised around why there are certain exemptions for different types of products. And I see a member over there smiling because he is learning something, and that's good for him to actually to learn in this house. Yes, yes. So, Mr. Speaker, this is a bill which all parties in this House should support. It's a shame that our neo-communists don't support it from the New Zealand First Party, and it's good to see that the Green Party comes to its senses and supports it, even though they are well off track in their desire to see this as a debate around wider energy issues rather than actually looking at the reality of what New Zealand industry and economy is based on and its need for that basic crude oil that we have at the moment in our economy. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Dr. David Clark.
Thank